episode is brought to you by Moscon, the leading SEO conference where you will learn to become a better search marketer. This episode contains mentions of sexual harassment, so if you want to skip this one, that's fine. We'll see you in the next episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of MozPod. Today, I'm joined by Kari DePhillips, the founder of The Content Factory, and she's also the founder of Sisters in SEO Community, a community with over 12,000 members. I also have with me here Myriam Jessier, SEO consultant. Look, today is going to be an incredible episode. Our topic for today is No Nursery Rhymes Here, the child-free route to career success. I'm going to start with you, Myriam. How did you get into SEO and what was the journey like for you?
So, I know that we all say this. None of us wake up one day going, wee, I'm going to be an SEO. This is going to be fun. We kind of fall into the job. That doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't mean it's bad. But we fall into it. So my journey was a bit unusual. I got started with my studies as a young adult in university, and unemployment rates were incredibly high in France. If you were 4 friends, one of you at the table did not have a job. So I did my communications degree. You can see where I'm going with this. The hopes were low. And I realized that what I had been doing as a hobby was actually a job people would pay for. So very early on, once I got the internet in 97, I was like, hey, why is my grandiose South Park website made by a child not able to be found? Why are people not recognizing my glory? And I started optimizing things because, of course, I loved my website. So fast forward a few years, I'm stressed. And then I realized, wait, companies are hiring people to do what I do for fun? Let's go. And then, this is when it got a bit more intense though, because I got started in content, having a communications degree. Of course, I love content, I love talking, I really love talking, but it didn't really pay the bills. And that's when I realized that the other bit I knew about optimizing things, the technical part, was something that would get me money, would get me respect. People would actually pay attention to what I do and value my input. So that's how I ended up being known for technical SEO. But to this day, people are still a bit confused when I go, you know what, that H1, it's not going to work. I know it has a keyword in it, but nobody's going to want to read that. And they're like, wait, you know content? Yes, I just didn't used to be paid well for it, so I stopped doing it.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Kari? How did you get into content?
I started out in advertising in Pittsburgh, right out of college, and my boss sexually harassed me and was a real douchebag. And I reported him to his male boss and to the 2 guys who owned the company. And after all of this, he got reprimanded, but was still allowed to be my manager. And I just wasn't going to live that life. Do you know what I mean? So I started researching freelance writing jobs. And within like 6 months, I had fully replaced all of my advertising income through freelance writing work that I got to do from home or from anywhere and not have some creep rub my leg while I was doing it. That was pretty cool.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I can't even imagine what that experience must have been like for you. Starting your first job and then getting sexually assaulted and having to work with the person that sexually assaulted you. And I feel like this is one of the challenges that many women face in the workplace today. Really sorry about that.
Yeah, it was for the best because that company was not going to support me, as evidenced by how they handled the situation. And it taught me that I could support myself, really. And it opened a whole world of opportunities to me. And taking the leap was definitely scary. But once I did it, it was like behind me. And then it just became my new normal.
Same thing. Same thing. I had a boss ask me in front of clients to call him daddy.
What the fuck?
Yes. I also had hands running down my back. So very often. And at the end of the day, what I really love about the fact this is something we have in common, we have our own businesses. You get to dictate how people interact with you, what you will accept, what the bounds of normal are for you.
Being child-free by choice, how do you navigate conversations with friends or family about this decision?
I mean, it depends, but I'll tell you.
The SEO answer.
It depends, but I'll tell you, I'm not very nice about it sometimes. You
Why?
know,
What happens?
because it's quite frankly none of their business if I want to have kids, if I don't want to have kids, or not.
Like, how does that even come up in conversations? Like, do people just ask you straight up?
Yeah,
So you don't want to have
yes,
kids?
yeah.
They just ask you straight up.
Yeah. Like it blows
Damn.
their mind that I don't want to procreate, and I really can't think of anything worse than giving birth. So I'm just not going to do it.
Cool.
And I don't know. I've had a bunch of different reactions. My grandparents actually cried when I told them I wasn't going to have those babies.
That's not funny.
No, it kind of was. You know what I mean? And then they would like passive aggressively send me kids' toys for Christmas in case they die before I finally come around to changing my mind.
What about you, Myriam? How do you navigate those conversations? How does that even come up?
That's the thing. I don't understand why it comes up, but okay. And once again, it depends because you never know how it's going to come at you. It just jumps in your face. And you could be having a good time and all of a sudden people realize that you have been married for 15 years and they're like, no kids? Okay, then the crusade begins. So they're
What
like,
kind of crusade? What
like
do you
they're
mean
like
crusade?
they attack it from different angles. So if nothing sticks, they will keep throwing some stuff at you. And they're like, kids are great. And it's like, yeah, I'm really happy if you have them. No, you should have them. Oh no. And then like they keep going. So depending on which angle and how much none of their business it is, like how comfortable I am discussing it, I will either handle it with like humor or very dry.
Yeah.
Or brutal, so they give up because I'm fed up. So, you know, if people are like, oh, but kids are such a joy. I'm like, I know, but we can't. The dog is allergic, you understand? And like, they stop. They're very confused. And then they go, and they have nothing to say. So most of them will either move on and like laugh like you did, or they get really pissed off. Like really pissed off.
So those are the kind of reactions you both get. Pissed off reaction, grandma crying, people doing crusades on you.
Yep.
Nobody saying, oh, okay, great, I support your decision. Nobody saying, oh, that is wonderful. We're in the 21st century, 2024, here we go.
I've got a lot of friends who support the decision, even friends who are parents. I think some people can just handle it. But other people really don't understand that some people do not have the biological drive or desire to have babies.
Okay. All right.
I have the covert ones. Like I have some friends that are child free and this is just normal. We don't high five each other going woohoo. Like it just is the end. We actually brunch together in peace. The end. But you also have people going like, yeah, you get to travel, you get to do things, you get to sleep in. I'm like, you don't have to hide. Like, this is fine.
Why is that? I don't know. Personally, I feel like that's always the first reaction people have when you say you're child free. Oh, yeah, you get to travel. Like, you don't have to have kids on the flight with you. And you can live the digital nomad lifestyle.
It's
like,
wonderful.
Projection. They wish they were you.
All right, I'll move on to the next question. On social media, and even when I see a lot of conversations online, I think there's always this assumption that many people have that child-free women have free time. And I've seen so many women sharing their stories about being asked to go on work trips, being asked to work weekends, being asked to work after hours, because maybe their employers assume that because they are child-free by choice, then they have more time. What are your thoughts on that assumption, Kari?
I think that that's a terrible assumption for any employer to make. I think it's a shameful assumption for employers to make because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And whether I spend some of my hours raising kids or playing with my dog, it doesn't matter. That time belongs to me. And I get to spend it however I want.
I love that. That time belongs to you. What about you, Myriam?
So, first and foremost, maybe you're out there taking care of other loved ones who are sick, huh? It's a rough world out there. And now on a personal note, what is this assumption that it's more free time? Like, it's my time. It's my time. And from a sociological standpoint, because I have a sociology diploma, there's this notion that we should be making kids to support the economy, to support society, that women have this duty to just pop out kids that are going to feed the system. Okay, great, but we have evolved, right? Like, we're not all working on the farm and grandpa's not sick, still toiling the land. Okay, like, different things happen. So ultimately, right now, for me, there's this notion that if you have this free time, it's not free time, it's that you stole this time by not having kids that feed into the system. So therefore, you must be giving that time back to your employer, to society, or do something productive with it, because how dare you not feed into the system?
Audacity.
I know.
The audacity.
And I'm like, okay, but no, I'm building the life I want.
Exactly.
I don't understand why I should be having kids to make people happy about it. I think that if you're going to have a child, you want what's best for your child. You're onboarded. This is a long-term project, okay? Like, this is the project of a lifetime. And maybe my lifetime, that's not the project I want. The end.
So I'm going to ask you, Myriam, do you think it's an opportunity to educate, or you're like, fuck it, that's not my place to educate?
How is it my job? Hey, talking about free time, I don't want to spend that free time on educating other people, okay? It's none of their business what I decide to do. Why are they jumping into my business? I'm very confused by that. So when it comes to education, it once again depends on the mood. Is the person I'm talking to genuinely curious and this blows their mind because they're coming from a different culture with different expectations? Is it somebody who's never met anyone who doesn't have kids? But most of the time, it's not that. They just want to prove to themselves that they made the right choice, and it's not your choice, right?
They want to prove to themselves that, the decision to have kids is the right choice for them, and it should be the right choice for everyone. So it's kind of like they are trying to impose on you. And even when you try to educate them, are you saying that they're not even listening? So what's the point?
Exactly. And what makes me really sad, I don't know if you've also had this feedback, but I've had quite a few new parents that are a bit older, like late 30s, early 40s. And they're like, before you have kids, everyone is encouraging you to have kids. Like, everyone is excited. The grandparents are on board, their friends, etc. And once you have a kid and you start complaining that, it's eating a lot of your time, you're exhausted, it's complicated to raise kids nowadays. People like, aha, what did you expect? Of course. And it's like, what is this bait and switch? Are you mad that I didn't choose that? That's fine. We're all good.
Hey there, my name is Chima Meje, and I want to take a moment to talk to you about Moscon, our podcast sponsor. Moscon is not just your average SEO conference. We hold our speakers to the highest standards and insist on fresh talks with unique insights you've never seen anywhere else. Beyond incredible talks, we're committed to platforming more female marketers, including experts like Lily Ray, Amanda Jordan, and me. For women attending Moscon, we're providing a dedicated meeting space where you can connect with other women in tech SEO in a safe and welcoming environment. I can't wait to see you at Moscon in June. Grab a ticket at mz.cm/podcast. Once more, another question for you, Myriam. I feel like I'm putting you on the hotspot continuously back to back. All right, I'm not going to pry into personal details, but I know we both have chronic health issues, and that's something that we've bonded over. Have your health issues influenced your decisions to be child-free?
Yes.
How so?
It's complicated to say, but society is not made for people that are not fitting the mold. So if I have an off day, who would be taking care of my hypothetical kids? That would be my responsibility, but it's already my responsibility to take care of myself. And there's not much help out there. Would I want to subject myself to this? But first and foremost, I have autoimmune issues. I have some things that are just baked into my DNA. Like, I asked myself very early on, do I want to pass on this type of quality of life to someone else? And the answer is no. I don't want to take a gamble on this. I'm not saying that my life isn't fun, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying that I'm playing on hard mode. Okay? I can't see myself passing this on to someone else, which is bittersweet because I married someone who has perfect genetics, like hair on his head, gorgeous, perfect teeth, no any dental work, no cavities ever, okay? Solid bones, would make a great father, but I don't want to take a risk. And it's half. I'm having a hard time expressing myself on this, but it's half. I don't want to suffer more because if you women very often, or at least people who are the mothering person in like the child raising, are expected to feel pain. They're expected to suffer. They're expected to take it upon themselves. And with the illnesses that I have, the more you take on, the more stress it creates, the more it impacts your body, and the more pain I feel. So I can't see myself doing that, frankly. That sounds like hell.
Yeah, I'm still in the process of deciding because I also have chronic health issues. And today I'm like, do I want to put this on anybody else? Tomorrow I'm like, maybe there could be a way. So every day I'm jumping from here to here to here to here. So I definitely understand why you made your decisions.
It's a long-term project. So do you see yourself going, when I'm gone, will you need someone to take care of you? I imagine living with that fear in
I'm
your
not going to
belly.
lie. I've thought about that, like having kids just to have someone take care of me when I'm old.
You better
I'm
hope
not
they
gonna
like
lie.
you. That you better hope that you did a good job raising those kids, because I know a
Yes,
lot of
that's a
people
big
who were no
gamble.
contact with their parents.
Yes.
Hello? Like, I told my mother very early on, like, you alienated me. Now you should make sure to take care of my brother because he's going to be the one handling your retirement. I'm not.
Yep.
I'm noping out. You are no longer my responsibility.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I don't think you can bank on that.
No, don't. Please.
I'm gonna deviate from having kids as retirement plans and move on to Kari and ask Kari about one of the major things that I think agency founders struggle with is work-life balance. First of all, Kari, is that something you've even figured out? Do you think you have work-life balance as an agency founder?
I think I've gotten much better at it as the years have gone on. To start, when I was building the agency, it was just like work. I didn't take a vacation for the first 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
5 years, no vacation.
5 years without a vacation. I worked on my wedding day. Yeah.
Oh, that's an American thing.
Yeah,
now.
no, I answered emails
I'm
on
sorry,
my wedding
what? That's
day.
an American thing
Yeah,
to work
maybe
on your
that is
wedding
an
day.
American thing.
Like there's an American like trope that like you're in the hospital about to get operated. You're like, my laptop is here. I will be back.
Yeah. Right. I'm not going to have a baby because then I'm going to have to like be typing on my laptop as I'm giving birth. I'm not going to do that. The work-life balance has gotten better over the years. I also have a remote first agency. We've always been remote. And like I started getting real pissy with myself. You could work from anywhere in the world. How come you stay in your freaking office upstairs and look out the window sometimes? Maybe you could be doing better, Kari. So I did. I packed up and I started traveling the world, working from wherever. I have clients in a ton of different time zones, which is challenging because now I'm based in the Netherlands. Most of my team is in the US. But we have clients everywhere from China to Switzerland to Vancouver. We're all over the place. So the hours are all over the place. And setting rules for myself about like when I would or would not work. I regularly do not open my laptop during the weekends.
Okay.
I don't have to check email. It can wait until Monday. There's nothing that's going to come to me on a Saturday that I can't wait until Monday morning to get to.
All right. I'm just going to piggyback off and drill more into that question and ask you, what does a day in Kari's life look like? Like from the moment you wake up, walk me through what that day looks like. I want to understand how you actually do that work-life balance thing.
Sure. It changes. It changes depending on where I am. Now that we've got a dog, I have a Great Dane, my partner and I. So the day starts at around 7:30 in the morning when I hear her flap her ears. And if I sleep in a little bit later, then she'll start barking and that's my time. All right, got to go take the dog out. Take the dog out, make coffee, feed the cats.
How many cats?
2 cats.
Oh, cute. Okay.
And laptop for a little while. My team doesn't start until 3 p.m. my time.
Okay.
Usually, like 9 a.m. EST. So I have a solid chunk of the day to either catch up on work or F off and do whatever I want, depending, right? Run errands, travel, whatever. And then around 3, my team comes on. I have whatever meetings I need to have. And my day ends somewhere between like 6 would be an early call off and like 11 p.m.
You walk up to 11 p.m. sometimes.
I've got those California clients.
Oh, true. I appreciate the honesty because for a moment there I was like, she's making it sound like a holiday.
No.
But then came the honesty, so that's good. What about you, Myriam? Do you have work-life balance? Be honest.
So, very similar to what Kari said, I have a lot of clients that are on the North American side. And that means that my days, depending on where I am in the world, usually starts between like 2 and 3. That's when they come online.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I haven't worked before. But for me, first and foremost, I'm lucky, envy me. I have a late riser dog model. So she will demand to stay under the covers until like noon. Okay. I do not get woken up by the dog. The dog is upset when I wake her up. And I had breakdowns. So the thing about me that's interesting is my breakdowns are very romantic, like live, laugh, love. Or I don't know what the order is, but in like Julia Roberts type breakdown. I had a breakdown right next to the Colosseum in Rome, like full on ugly crying, burnt out, can't handle my life, burnout from having a company. And then I had one right by Pompeii, like, you know, like the famous city right after Naples. Yeah. So I have these moments that are momentous when I'm supposed to be chilling and enjoying my life. And I don't. I'm exhausted. I cry. And then something drastic happens and I change. So that's important. And if you travel the world, you have this issue of deciding what's a vacation and what's an adventure.
Yeah.
So the difference is you work when you're on an adventure. So what this means is that you lower the stress and the expectations of you should be having time off. Why are you on your laptop? You're like, hey, I expected this to happen. Yeah. Fine. So that's important. But for me, it's a bit different. There's no typical day. There's just a certainty that Monday, I do not have client meetings, okay? Friday, I do not have client meetings unless you're very special or there's a huge emergency. Those are my admin days. That's when I debug stuff, I fix problems, I'm handling my stuff. And when it comes to work-life balance, I'll let you know when I found it, but I know that I built my business around the fact that I want to travel. I sadly have days like you should have seen me yesterday. No, the day before, Wednesday. Could not get out of bed due to pain. Well, told my clients, move things around. That's fine. I have the overflow on Monday. I'm going to take at least one meeting because I had no choice. But it's built around not necessarily work-life balance, but being able to be alive.
Yeah, that flexibility. I think that's something I still struggle with. As someone who has chronic pain, is not working when I'm in pain. I think I walk through my pain. No, I think
but
I walk
it makes
when I'm
it
in
worse.
pain. Yes.
That's what it took me years to understand that it makes it worse and makes it last longer. And now imagine you have a little being that you're supposed to take off because they have problems. And unlike you're not going to put them through that pain. You're going to take the time off to go to the doctor. That's what you were discussing as well. Like figuring out, are they quiet quitting or are they overwhelmed with life? Because yes, you take responsibility for a few other lives.
I think that's something that keeps changing. What does work-life balance look like? How are we making sure that we're prioritizing ourselves, but still like being there for the people that work for us, for our businesses, and all that?
I love the Gen Z folks. Whenever I see like newspapers,
Gen Z will save the world.
No, but I love the complaints from newspapers. Like Gen Z is complaining about the 40-hour work week. I'm like, no, we all are. Like, this is not okay.
It's just that they are quitting and they don't take shit from anybody. So people are forced to take note of them because they actually take action.
Yeah.
Compared to everyone else.
Because the safeguards in place to help us have degraded so much that we keep kicking the can further and further and further, and they're getting basically the short end of the stick. Like millennials had it hard already, but Gen Z, Godspeed.
What advice would you give to women that want to be child-free and have a great career?
Don't get pregnant.
I agree. This is the first part. Like, prevent first and foremost, so you don't have to make difficult choices. And it's your choice. So once again, yes, you have hormones in the balance. Yes, you have the grandparents, you have the parents, you have the friends that are frenzied maybe. You may have that biological clock that is ticking away. But really, take the time to consider, what do I want my life to look like? Not the hypotheticals of like the 5 minutes of joy a day you could have from like a smiling kid. No, and maybe it's more than 5 minutes. I don't know. Depends on the child, depends on you, depends on a lot of things. But really take the time to consider, what do I want my life to look like and how do I want to feel? And what are my personal constraints? So, for example, if you have a tendency to have health issues, is that compatible with having a child? If you're on the fence, make that decision very, very selfishly, please. And if you're not, don't let anyone badger you into making that, because we've been badgered and we still didn't find.
All right. What is one thing you do every day that brings you a tiny piece of joy?
No, I don't do tiny pockets of joy. I don't do tiny pieces of joy. I go for big joy. Otherwise, what's the point of living? Well, before I broke down in front of the Colosseum, I had toured the entire city of Rome by foot, okay? I love to eat. Oh, I am a giant eater. People, will eat to live. I live to eat. Like, I'm here for that. All the excesses.
I am the exact same way. I love food.
Me too.
I love food so much. I would travel to a country just to be able to eat the food there.
Oh, I traveled to Cambodia just for the pepper, and I brought back 2 kilos in my backpack, okay? So this I think is something that characterizes all three of us. There's no tiny pockets of joy. Yes, there's a few joyous moments stolen in the face of adversity, but at the end of the day, we're all living for these big joyous moments. That's the point of life.
What about you, Kari? Is there anything you do in your day that you're looking forward to, that, oh, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to just make me smile or give me like joy for like a few minutes?
I really like making my French press coffee in the morning.
Cool.
With the dog. And then the dog gets a little bit of milk too. And yeah.
Oh, I love that for you.
I have one moment, cheese. I married the one French man who does not like cheese. So when I have moments away by myself with the dog, we both eat cheese until we get fat.
And that's it from us on MozPod today. This episode was produced by Chimamege and Joe Cameron. Sound was edited by Saul Fox and video was edited by Sarah Galpin. And remember, curiosity did not kill the cat. It just increased the search rankings. Bye-bye.